I think. Okay. So, welcome everybody that may or may not be watching this to a little project that uh, has come to mind between the two of us. I am your friendly neighborhood referee from the Midwest, the Chicagoland area, Jeremy the Ref, Jeremy Telema. And with me is,
This is Jesse Fields, Jesse the Ref, down in Nashville.
don't hold it against some sports fans, it's not his fault. Cheers, buddy. Here's to the Stanley Cups that we have.
Oh, oh man, already
That
starting with
sweet
beer.
taste of burnage.
Uh,
Anyway, hey, I had to get that one in on you. Anyway, um, so yeah, Jesse and I have been talking. This all kind of came to our mind after a little rant we went on about the about a little known um passion we both kind of share. We're both well, Jesse more than myself, space exploration nuts. Obviously, Jesse, anybody that's watched your social media and all that stuff, and clearly
all the
looking
stuff.
behind you, will know that you are a big fan of the space exploration and the NASA projects and all of that, and that's awesome, man. But yeah, we decided after that, we just kind of said we should try this in like a podcast and see if anybody would listen. So we're not really a podcast, obviously, because we're coming at you with live media, but more or less treat this as if it's a podcast. If you don't want to see my ugly mug, just close your eyes and pretend, and we'll go from there. But
Just cover his face up at the top.
just put the, yeah, it's right there, it'll work. But getting right into this, I figure the best way for people to get to know us would probably be just to do your basic cliche, and obviously if this takes off we'll do more than just cliche, but probably just we'll do the traditional, who are you, where you from, where have you been, where do you want to go type of format. So just for the sake of that, we'll go with that. So Jesse, let's start with you. uh How'd you get into the business, man? What led you to this crazy world of professional wrestling?
I got very lucky in it was like around 2004, 2005 that I discovered independent wrestling around Nashville. I actually attended the very last TNA show that was in Nashville before they moved to Florida. And I thought, oh man, this is so cool. I really wish I could go to wrestling every week. And lo and behold, there's independent wrestling companies around Nashville. And friends of mine and I did backyard wrestling. So I kind of thought, oh, why not? Give it a shot. Um, Trained a little bit, was told that I was really just kind of too small and not muscular enough, didn't have the look of a wrestler. So they're like, hey, maybe you should consider being a manager or a referee. And fast forward about another year, I got an opportunity to referee on a show, and turns out I didn't suck at it. It was around 2006, 2007. So yeah, I've been donning the stripes since 06, 07.
Yeah, for me, kind of the same thing. I got the try not to suck speech. I was a couple, wow, probably about a year and a half, 2 years in. The promoter at my first promotion needed a referee, and they just threw a shirt at me and said, "Here you go, try not to suck." So I went out there, and um, I didn't have any of the traditional referee clothing. I didn't have the black pants. I didn't have the belt. I didn't have the shoes for it. So there's footage somewhere around out there if you look hard enough. I don't know where, but I've seen it here and there, of me in a ref shirt, not tucked in, with the beard, khaki pants, just going for it. But when the night was over, and obviously since then I've rectified the clothing situation over time, but as the night went, it kind of went from, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, to wow, this is fun, this is fun, this is fun, this is fun. And I we got done, and nobody said, don't ever show your face around here, anything like that. And so, like, the next week at practice, I talked to the promoter, and I was just like, so
How'd it go?
no, maybe we give that another shot. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And it just kind of went from there. And obviously, that's just kind of how it all got started. And as time went on, I got more and more opportunities, and here I am.
Yeah, I think I got lucky when I was asked to ref. I was actually asked early enough in the day that I was able to run to a thrift store and get a pair of black pants. I had my black and white Converse and a shirt that was, I think, two sizes too big. And I think it's one of the few times I refed without my glasses on.
Oh, so I rectified the clothing problem for the next show, but
That.
me, of course, with me sometimes, especially early on, got to do things the hard way, don't we? I show up with a pair of black jeans. It took all of the first match out there with one of my trainers to notice. He goes, "What the hell are you wearing?" I said, "Stripes." He said, "No, your pants, you idiot." I said, "Black jeans." He said, "You don't wear black jeans. You don't wear any jeans in the ring unless you're in a street fight." I was like, "Okay." you know, First year in, yes, sir, no, sir. How many bags should I carry?
Yeah.
So, over time, the dress pant, it took a minute, but once it got going, it's steadily progressed.
Yeah. God, just thinking of all the little hurdles you have to climb over. Like, nobody tells you these things. They kind of like, okay, here you go. Here's your first opportunity to ref. What do I do? What do I wear? What do I say?
And if they tell you, a lot of the times, especially the early 2000s, mid, early 2010s, before things kind of recently kind of got shaken up, you got sometimes you got told things maybe the wrong way. Maybe there was a better way of saying it, but you
Yeah,
know
it's great to see how times have changed in pro wrestling for referees and wrestlers alike.
dude, it's night and day from when
Oh
I
God, so
started to where we're at now. Night and day.
and I it feels weird because I'll turn 32 this year, and I feel definitely like one of those grizzled vets. Because I've seen kind of like the changing of the guard in some aspects where a lot of these older talent are starting to back off, and there's this whole wave of young talent coming up, and it's incredible. Like, it's an incredible time to like independent wrestling right now.
Absolutely. I think before the pandemic, indie wrestling especially was probably as hot as it's been in, at least since I've been in, probably the hottest it's been.
Yeah,
uh you know my memory only goes back to about 2008, 2009 as far as wrestling goes, but before that, to me, indie was Ring of Honor, which obviously, you know, not exactly what I would call an indie now. At least not in terms of what you would think of when you hear the word indie. Now, Ring of
yeah.
Honor is recognized as one of the big companies, but
Uh,
there was a point where when I thought of indie, that's what I thought of.
it was the same thing for me, and it that's kind of how I learned more about what independent was. Um, Learning to ref, one of my buddies was like, "Here's some Chikara DVDs. Watch them."
Chikara,
And
R.I.P.
so for me, Chikara was really I was like, "Wow, that's an amazing indie promotion."
That
Oh,
was a big name come when I first started.
who's this Bryce Rimsberg guy, and why is he so energetic? And um, that was my real introduction to, because I knew what the local independent scene was, but I didn't own a computer at the time. We really didn't have smartphones in '06, '07.
No,
It was before you could really get YouTube on your phone. So my exposure to good independent wrestling was going over to somebody else's house post show, or
it was our version of tape trading at that
it
point.
was our version of tape trading. And
Yeah,
even in that aspect, some of us did tape trade or like burnt DVDs, or somebody had a hard drive that had like New Japan or something like that, and we would sit down, and I had this whole introduction to this world outside of the WWE and TNA and what I kind of knew wrestling was, and it was like, whoa, this is, I want more of this. Where can I get more of this? Where can I be a part of this? And that's really where the wrestling bug hit me. It was like, whoa, the crowds at these independent shows, like seeing the Brian Danielson entrances of Ring of Honor coming out to the final countdown was just amazing. Crowd interaction with Chikara or to a lesser extent CZW, it's like I want to be on these shows. How do I get to be on these shows that are doing these amazing things? And fast forward to now when we have some of the top independent companies putting on absolute bangers. Um, for you, I mean, you've got Black Label Pro. Anytime I've watched a Black Label show, I'm just like, whoa, that is some killer stuff. Like I can disconnect my worker mentality of being in the business and watch a match and go, ooh, that's good stuff. So there's just such an amazing amount of pro wrestling out there, which really hurts me whenever people want to narrow their mindset. There's just so much out there to take in. Like,
Well, for some people, it's too much. Like they just don't know where to
right,
look. They're so spoiled for choice. Like they're almost overwhelmed. You know.
yeah, and it, the whole argument with like not liking a particular type of wrestling, it's the same can be said. I don't like horror movies. Well, if you don't like a horror movie, don't spend money to go watch a horror movie. If
Exactly.
you don't want to watch pro wrestlers do 80 flippy spots, don't watch that show. If
I'm
you want
going
to
into
watch,
business for myself here. If you don't like Nickelback, don't go buy their album.
at one point probably had a Nickelback CD at one point. I mean, we all make dumb choices.
Okay, first you're from Nashville, then you're gonna bag on Nickelback. This was a good run, but I think we're done now.
Uh, okay, so the hate, I get the hate on Nickelback because there were certain songs that were so overplayed, but they're my thing with bands, not to get off the wrestling topic. Uh,
Might as well.
look more into the back catalog of what a band does, because chances are you're going to find some amazing stuff.
Oh
You
yeah,
hear
the
something
best,
like,
the
whoa, that
best,
band, that.
yeah, the best Nickelback is not the stuff that they play on the radio. It's the stuff that doesn't make air. That's the good stuff.
Uh, in my case, like some of the best songs Queen ever did were their back catalog songs. Uh,
Yeah,
so
it can't
it,
all be "We Will Rock You" and "We Are the Champions." You know,
even though my favorite song comes off of that exact album,
I
it's
like
back.
the Flash Gordon theme, so I'm right there.
Oh,
You know,
that I
Flash.
actually just found that vinyl on one of my
Ah!
wrestling road trips. I found the Flash Gordon soundtrack. I had to get it.
But yeah, but getting back on track, like I said, if you
Wait,
don't like something,
don't.
don't ruin it for everybody else. You know,
Yeah, because
I'm not going to
uh,
go to a Taylor Swift concert and tell her she sucks, even though I don't like her music. I let
um,
other fans enjoy her music.
yeah, living in Tennessee, it's kind of a weird thing because the western half of Tennessee is Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
So what they like is the Memphis television product, where it's a studio TV taping, 3 to 4 minute squash matches, 2 or 3 big moves. That's pretty much it.
Like
But
Saturday night, like what was it,
Saturday
Superstars
morning,
back in the day, or Saturday morning with the
yep,
WCW thing? Yeah,
yeah, and
I mean,
and
we should have more of that on television, by the way, in my opinion.
so one of the promotions I worked for, and I did the production um, as well as refereeing, did the Saturday morning Memphis style wrestling. We would do shotgun TV tapings where we would tape 4 weeks of television in one
Right, right, right.
go. And like I said, there's a market for that. Whereas another part of Tennessee, there's a market that kind of caters towards a hybrid where they like the storytelling of a Southern match, but they also like the excitement of a multi-man scramble or something like that. So
Right. It's a
it's
buffet. There's all the flavors.
Baskin. I was gonna say Baskin Robbins, Golden Corral. It's the whole let's just put them all together.
It works for me. I love me a good trip to anything that says buffet on it, you know. But
You know, I like buffets, but I'm gonna tell you the best thing is a good old Cracker Barrel.
hey, you know what? A good buddy of mine turned me on to Cracker Barrel a couple of years ago, and literally, I said because I went without him, but I went at his behest. And he's like, I was like, dude, why didn't you tell me about this sooner? He's like, you live in Indiana. It's like a rite of passage that you go anyway. And you know, if there's a barrel, I'm there, baby.
That's, you know what? I can look. I can be on the road. I'm like, I want to get something to eat. I'll see the barrel. No, that's where I'm going.
Oh man, dude, I feel like part of wrestling that is a time honored tradition of learning the rules. Some of it has nothing to do with what happens at the building. It's what happens on the roads.
Yep,
Where do you find fuel to feed the savage beast? I'm a
yep.
Wendy's guy. That's right, Mikey Blanton. I said it. I'm a Wendy's guy. Their burger will always be better than McDonald's. I'm sorry.
I will give you a very, very hard agree on that. I had this sort of Twitter discussion with Chris Levin because he's also a huge Cracker Barrel. I know.
Hearts for Chris. We love
Uh,
Kid Rough.
yeah, so I've got this idea. You know how it's a time honored tradition to go to Japan and
Oh
get
yeah.
the steakhouse jacket.
Oh, I love this already.
Why hasn't Cracker Barrel released their own like hoodie or jacket? Because I would wear Cracker Barrel apparel.
I don't think Cracker Barrel realizes how big they are with wrestlers.
They
Like, I don't think they even know. If they knew, I feel like they'd probably, but like, I don't think
look.
that they're
I've
in on it.
I've I've at given them an at on Twitter saying, "Hey, look, we've got ambassadors. We would be more than happy to sing the praises of the barrel
We got to
because
give them the
we have so
Iggy then.
got to give them the Iggy." I it's just one of those things. I was thinking like if there was a Riviera style jacket that said Cracker Barrel and on the back had the barrel, like
Bro, I'd wear that. I'd wear
I'd
the
wear
hell
that.
out of
I'd
that.
rock the Zubaz. I have a fanny pack, so it's like I'd have to wear this.
Cracker Barrel Zubas. Let's make this a thing.
I
Hashtag
would.
Cracker Barrel Zubas
No, okay,
in the stream.
so you got to remember they sponsored like the not when AEW wasn't AEW, it was like the All In or All Out.
Yeah,
Remember they
yeah.
had the
Early
Cracker
on.
Barrel. They
That's right. They
sponsored
did.
and they had the actual barrel that was used in like two or three matches. So it's like they know, they know they're just not
They're not putting two and two together,
together.
brother.
Man,
You know, but yeah, for me, it's always going to be either Wendy's or Arby's if I want some of them fries, baby. I love them curly fries, but that's just me. I'm sure there are those out there that will they'll
uh,
always go to the Golden Arches Country Club and splurge on them nuggies because
you
let's be
know,
real, nuggies
sometimes,
are great too.
sometimes you just gotta have them chicky nuggets.
Some chicky nuggies.
Uh, I so we have crystals down here, and I know up north is more of White Castle. It's
I'm
sliders.
more willing to try crystals, I believe you said, than I am to ever go back to White Castle again because man,
Uh,
it is not good for the system to put that
oh,
in my
it
body.
one
Not
hundred
good.
percent. No, see, I don't adhere to a lot of Southern stereotypes. I try to not have a Southern accent. I love crystals. Crystals is a Southern thing, but I love White Castle. I think they taste better. They're better quality. Uh, and 2 o'clock in the morning, somewhere in the middle of BFE, you definitely want like a greasy slider to help get you through the rest of the trip. Because you're now panicking, trying to like, okay, where's the next exit? Where's the next exit? Where's the next exit?
See, I don't need that kind of terror in my life, baby, especially when I'm close to what you see on my hat right now. Some of y'all in the Chicagoland area are probably knowing where I'm going to go with this. I don't need to hit White Castle when I've got Portillo's, baby.
So I've heard about that. I've got to get up to Chicago.
So my buddy Jake Clemens, He'd been out here, but he'd never gotten the chance to explore, and we took him exploring, and he tried that chocolate cake shake.
Ooh.
Hooked them,
Oh,
baby.
yes.
That was it. That was it.
Mm.
It was
You got
over
me
at the
there.
chocolate cake shake.
Oh, that just sounds
It's
diabetic.
as wonderful as it sounds.
Yeah. No, Tennessee doesn't have a lot of
Y'all,
staple.
what about a Sonic? Y'all got at least a Sonic down there,
Yeah,
right?
we've got Sonic.
I'll
Sonic's
get
always
down with a Sonic. I mean, it's just like it's gotta go down good. I think is it, but you got to just know where the good places are to go. And I feel like
that's
that was going to lead into my next point. Hooking up with a good veteran. A good veteran is going to show you the ways of the ring. They're going to show you the ways of the business, but they're also going to show you the ways of where to stop for food on the road. In
uh
my opinion.
uh the best road trip I've had uh that definitely ties into the food talk is I was able to hop in the car with Alex Zane to go to King of Trios in 2019.
I already
He
know where you went. You said Alex Zane.
No, see, here's the thing. We only did Taco Bell one time.
What?
He Yeah, shoot, straight
Oh,
shoot.
dude,
We
it's
did
a
that one.
gimmick for him,
I know
bro.
it's the gimmick. However, he's like me. He really enjoys finding the hole in the wall places that it's just like you're gonna get the greatest thing. So I drove my car from my house in Nashville to pick him up at his house
Mm-hmm.
when he lived in Lexington. Then we drove into West Virginia to get a rental car because we couldn't find anything anywhere remotely close to where I was picking him up. And I think we're in Huntington, West Virginia. And I was like, hang on, I'm gonna look to see what kind of food places there are. And we found a hot dog place, hole in the wall hot dog place. They did steamed hot dogs, had real ice cream shakes. He and I loaded up on hot dogs, and we're like making a note for this.
Put
Um,
that one on the Google Maps.
put that in the Google Maps, and then we found a when we were coming back, we stopped in Allentown because we were hitting antique stores, and we came across one of those little diners, and we walk in,
I
and there's
could
just
just see Alex antique store.
again another thing he and I share is we love to go antiquing. Now I look for NASA stuff, he looks for wrestling figures. Big shock, we found one that had like a whole section of like old WWF stuff. It was
Oh yeah.
incredible. But we stop at this diner, and it was this one woman running the kitchen and the counter at the same time. And it's literally like one of those 50 style diners, and we got these burgers, and it was like a grilled cheese with a burger inside of it, and it was just amazing. I don't
Damn.
remember the name of it. I just know it was near
Now I'm
Allentown
hungry.
in Pennsylvania.
Thanks.
Oh, dude, I'm starving.
Trying to diet, and your ass is over here telling me about like all the things that I want to eat right now. And
You know,
lo and behold, somebody put them together into one actual thing.
I should really consider dieting, since when I started refing, I was wearing a size medium, and I'm at an extra large now.
Are you at a medium?
No, I'm not a schmedium.
Wink.
No, I'm at an XL, unfortunately.
Oh shit, you still got me beat right now.
Yeah.
Oh, your boy put on some weight since this pandemic really kicked into second gear.
Oh no, this wasn't the pandemic. This was post surgery. When I
Oh,
had
well then
surgery
it's
back back to
excusable.
back. Yeah.
Uh
Yeah. I didn't have anything to do. So, no,
oh.
little connectivity problems.
Yeah, we're gonna hang in there. We're gonna hang in there.
So as we're recording this, I found out why the internet's being the
There we
broadband's
go.
probably being screwed up. My roommate is doing his D&D night on Zoom, so that's probably why.
You know what? Like, it's not my deal. Like, Dungeons and Dragons isn't exactly like my go-to thing. It doesn't make me tick, but I respect the culture around it and the community that it's created
Oh yeah.
because it's big. I recognize it is not nearly as it's just a couple of weirdos from high school that you knew back in the day that still get together in ropes. Like it's a full on thing now, and it's
Um,
been a thing.
so here's the thing: as nerdy and as geeky as I am, I never played it until the pandemics, and I couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything, so I was like, why not?
I've I've got ADD, so I can't sit there and do stuff like that. That's my it's not necessarily that it doesn't interest me. It's
It's
just it's
hard.
probably not geared for somebody like me.
Yeah, and like I like playing video games and I like
Oh
playing
yeah,
video games. So if you've played an RPG game, you already understand the dynamics and the mechanics
yeah,
of
yeah.
it. So all I had to do was just translate it from a digital media to for what we were doing, kind of an analog thing in front. And there is something cool knowing about the dice roll and how important your number is, and realizing how screwed you are when you roll a d20 and you roll up a 1 and you're like, well, there goes my night.
Yeah, it's about to get real, bruh. But anyways, we'll try to get this back on course. For those of
We're
you
just
that may
gonna
be watching this, this is kind of what we have in mind when we came up with this. This will be a podcast or
it'll
show,
be more
whatever
of a
you want to call this, but
session.
it is anchored by wrestling, but it is not necessarily about wrestling. It's just two buddies shooting the breeze about. We're going to try to stay on a topic, but if we go on a tangent, we kind of planned for that anyway.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
in essence, that's what you're going to get with us. It's going to be wrestling one minute, then we're going to be fighting like cats and dogs about hockey or about
yeah.
talking about what we read about. Like today, we were talking about the space flight. I had an idea for ways to protect the astronauts, and this guy shot me down and explained to me why I was wrong. And but it's going to be stuff like that. Uh,
Uh, I think it would be really cool that if we start gaining traction, we just post questions like, "Hey, what would you like us to talk about?
oh, for
Uh,
sure, for sure.
who
Yeah.
would you like to see us try to get on here?" And my thing is like, I do want to talk to our peers, uh, but also it's like in the same. I want to talk to them about wrestling, but we also want to talk to them about real life, like interests, hobbies. In our case, sports.
I'm a book nerd. I will talk your ear off about the virtues and greatness of the late Dr. Michael Crichton. You know,
I mean,
um,
I could sit here and talk for hours about NASA stuff
yeah.
or, costuming, prop building, model railroading, playing guitar. It would be
But
cool to do a music night where we all kind of like, uh,
jammed. And what's
well,
cool about this is because we're doing this on Zoom, we're not limited to one. Like if we wanted to
yeah,
do like that music night, we could get 5, 10, 15 people here and have fun. But in the meantime, more or less, that's what we're trying to accomplish here is give people something other than your run of the mill
yeah.
wrestling podcast.
But the music thing, as I was gonna say, is like the one thing I would love for us to do is to get like 3 or 4 of us together, and we discuss in short form like the perfect album, like what's our perfect album or our go-to album, or we have a thing where we talk about like what's the music that you listen to when you do a road trip or your car karaoke go-to.
Oh,
Uh,
I actually on my YouTube Plus, I actually have karaoke songs and I will just start belting songs because most of the time I'm driving alone because most of my
Same here.
shows are about an hour from my house. I'm fortunate enough to I don't want to say that I don't want to travel, but when I've got a full plate already of places that are worth it to me to go to, yet I don't necessarily find myself in a situation where I have to drive to like New York or go out to Texas. You know what I mean? Like it's not that I don't want to, it's that I haven't found myself in that position where I need to, but it'll be like it's either music like that or I'm listening to like true crime podcasts because that is my rabbit hole that I will go down. I
And so many
love the Case
people
Files. I love the Case Files
Yeah,
podcast, man.
so
That is
many people
great.
have gotten into that. It's amazing in like the last couple of years how big true crime podcasts are. And
Criminology is such a fascinating subject anyway.
well, look, you got to look at we had like the various Law and Orders and CSI shows, and I remember watching those, and I was fascinated with those shows when I was growing up, and I was like,
But the
Now,
problem I ran into with those shows is it stopped being so much about the crime as it was the drama in the crime room, and it became just your run of the mill soap opera style show. It was just like, you know what? That's not why I tuned in. If I wanted to watch that, I'd tune into Friends, which I love Friends, but I didn't tune into CSI to watch Friends.
uh, I used to like Friends. Then I realized how bad the show was as an adult.
Well, not it's kind of like wrestling. Not every show is going to be, a 5-star show, shall we say,
6 stars in the Tokyo Dome.
as our esteemed colleagues would put it. But that's just the wonder of media and entertainment, man. There's something out there for everybody, just like wrestling. Um,
So back to the topic of
Now that
professional
we've gone
wrestling.
on probably like a 10-15 minute sidetrack, uh, which is gonna happen, man.
Yeah,
Um, we talked about how we got in. What would you call your, if you had to, and I'm not going to put a gun to your head and say that you would call your main your main places of business, where, when, if I were to,
number one, which is
or even though I said 2 or 3, but you'll understand why I mentioned 4 in a second. Obviously, Black Label and Warrior, where I am the senior official at both, because Black Label, there was a time in my career where I found myself kind of I was kind of an army without a country. I had left my original home promotion and I didn't have a home, and I sent Mikey an inquiry when I saw that he was running his first show all the way back in September of 2017. Wow, it's going to be 4 years this year already. And he brought me in, not knowing me from Adam. He gave me a look and he kept me, and eventually I worked my way up. And Black Label became my home, and then Warrior, um, Warrior again. That happened because Mikey knew Steve, and Steve was looking for a third referee, so Mikey recommended me, and it grew from there. And eventually, again, I became the senior there. They appointed me, and I have to this day no clue why they picked me when they have we have such a loaded roster of referees and access to them. It made me feel good that for a promotion like that, and to owners like Steve and Eric to put their faith in me, that meant a lot to me. And so, Black Label, Warrior, and then Freelance and Freelance Underground, because to me they're one and the same.
yeah,
It's the same crew, but not really. But I can't pick one over the other in that sense because they're all under the same umbrella. Those 4 places, I have yet to have a bad day in at any one of them. Sure, there's always going to be something that comes up that just irks you, but it's never enough to ruin the overall experience. So between those 4 places, if I stopped tomorrow, I would want those 4 to be at the top of the list.
yeah. I guess since you went with four, I'll throw Crux Wrestling because uh, I have a lot to do with the training that goes on there. It's a school run by Carrie Awful,
Mm-hmm.
and I help.
The Carnies.
Yeah, of the Carnies, yes. I help with a lot of the training classes because I learned how to be a wrestler. I retain the ability to do a lot of the things wrestlers can do, and I'll take bumps and run the ropes and show everybody how to do things just to kind of ease Carrie's body because God, he puts himself through a lot.
Carrie earns his money.
He does. But we also do like our own shows. We've done the Tuesday night Twitter fights. We did GCW versus Crux right after Wombat. So it's like I also ref with them and try to help out with that entity as much as I can. So I guess that's the four. You've got your four, I've got my four. So it's
Yeah,
four.
I say 4, but like I said, freelance and freelance underground, I consider those just like day 1 and day 2 because they usually run pretty close to each other. I miss them. I miss Nix. I miss Caleb. I miss everybody out there, man. And God willing, I hope that this is the last winter we deal with this pandemic. God willing, I hope that this vaccine really just kicks the snot out of COVID and we can get back to normal. But
Oh man, what I wouldn't give to be working in front of full crowds. We had a great crowd at the collective, but
Yeah,
just imagine,
but there was just that COVID thing hanging over your head.
yeah. But
Yeah,
I turned to like, yeah,
match.
look,
If like
you
you don't obviously let the crowd in on that per se in the moment,
yeah, in the moment,
but
but it just,
if it's emotion and it's real, go with it.
dude, and it was, nobody knew he was there. We did a really good job of keeping him hidden until he walked through that curtain, and just it was, with everything that had gone on over the past few months with the pandemic, to hear a crowd react of that magnitude. Like, there was what, maybe, I don't know what the capacity was for the building, but those people literally made it seem like that was a
There were
stadium.
thousands. I'd say maybe
Uh,
100, maybe 100 people in the
it
building.
was a little bit. I think it was a little. I think the max was like 200, and they
Yeah,
had to be spread out. And I think because of that, because they were so spread out, it just,
that room had good acoustics too. That
man,
helped.
I've watched that video, and every time I watch it, the hair stands up on my arms of like, I remember exactly how it was in my head, and I was just like, whoa.
I had a similar moment uh for Warrior. We were doing the stadium series outdoors this summer. We were the largest crowd for an independent show, at least to that point. I don't know what it was, but we did that, and we did 3 nights over 3 weeks. And first night, the main event was Tessa Blanchard defending her women's title against Kylie Ray. Kylie is from Chicago. She's the hometown girl, and anybody that's watched her work knows she's the ultimate underdog in her matches. But she's like got this ultimate feel good vibe to her when she wins and overcomes. And they had this knockdown drag out just cat fight, and um, the little girls that were in the audience that were behind Kylie all the way. Um, Kylie got the pin, and like the crowd erupted, and you can watch the little girls are just jumping up and down. I uh i get the belt, I give it to Kylie, I raise the hand, and I roll out. You can actually watch me go under the ring backside away from the hard cap, and I'm actually under the ring crying for a second because the emotion of that moment of just the crowd reacting, the story, just every, and seeing the kids, which I'm big on the kids enjoying a
Oh,
show, because if you can't hook the children, there is no next generation. And I'm big on the next generation of
I
wrestling. I was a kid in the crowd once, so
yeah,
that's, I've never forgotten that. So yeah, you can watch that video. I'm under the ring crying for about 5 seconds, and then I got out of
yeah,
Dodge.
yeah. I've got another one. I did a show in December of 2009. The main event was Sean Hoodrich versus Rich Swan for this promotion's championship. Sean was the champion, and I was asked beforehand by Sean, because I'd worked with him so much. He's like, "Hey, look, I know you're trying to be a good, straightforward referee, but I need you to bring every bit of your emotion to help us tell this story tonight." And I helped tell the story, and when we got to the finish, and I did my big dramatic dive, 1, 2, 3, and I call for the bell. I suddenly couldn't hear anything because the fans had swarmed the ring and just started pounding on the mat because Rich won the match and he dethroned the big heel. And I remember going over to Rich, and he looked at me. He goes, "Is this real?" He's like, "Is this happening?" And it was so, man, it was so
It was
cool.
real.
I've never seen a, in for me working a show, I have never seen a crowd react to a match ending the way that that crowd did. And it's something, I've had so many injuries, and I've contemplated retirement and wanted to walk away, but then I remember those kind of moments and they get you. It's that adrenaline high you get from that crowd, and you remember how great it is, and you want to keep doing it. And I'll be damned, I want to keep going because
right?
I don't want to end because of the pandemic. I don't want to, I'm done refing and not been able to perform for a crowd that's so thirsty for wrestling. When we go back to having crowds, dude,
Oh man,
oh,
it's going to be bedlam when we get that all clear that we're allowed to go back at full blast, whatever.
the crowd's going to go, this is awesome for a side headlock.
I would say like, but I remember like Bret Hart wrote in his book, like when you went to Europe, you didn't have to do a bunch of big spots. They'd react over a wrist lock, and it's gonna be like that. I feel over here in America specifically, and probably all over the world. Like
Oh,
crowds are gonna be so happy to be there. It's just gonna be like the Michael Jackson concert where he'd pop up on the stage and it wasn't that he was singing and dancing, it was just that he was there,
yeah.
and the crowd would erupt just because he was there. It's gonna be like that for wrestling. We're there, and that's gonna be enough there for a
Oh,
while,
God.
and then the fun's gonna
I
happen.
cannot wait. I seriously cannot wait
But
because
you know, yeah,
that's
um,
that's why we do this is we're even as referees, we're still entertainers. We're still out there helping entertain the fans, and it's like, man, I can't wait to get back to that. It's cool refing on pay-per-view. I did the GCW 24-hour thing. It's cool knowing how many people watch that, but it's not the same. It's
right.
not the same as having
It's
people in
not.
the building because you thrive off that live audience.
Oh,
And
yeah, like everything that wrestling is and does predicates on the manipulation of the emotion of a live audience. You can broadcast all the countries you want. The show is for the people in the building first, in my opinion, because they're the ones that are right there on top of you. You've got to convince them first before you worry about the guys on the screen.
yep, they're also what's gonna pay your gas fare and dinner that night.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody that takes the time to watch any wrestling show, but that's just always been my view on it. Is man, the live crowd has to feel like they're in on it,
Yeah,
and without that live crowd, without an audience, you can't do it. You can do a magic trick, but nobody's there to go ooh ah,
yeah, and it's we're there for the ooh and ah.
you know. But since we have this is probably what our second or third attempt at actually recording this tonight. We've had some technical difficulty.
That's gonna be another four.
No. But anyway, again, all right. Morning. Oh wait, we're still